Hello there, people of the internet. So I was talking to somebody at the gun store. So many videos I make are from me talking to people, right? I was talking to somebody down at the gun store and they were talking about how they wished people had standardized on a particular bullet size when deciding the nomenclature of particular cartridges. And I'm like, alright, I like your train of thought, but think about when these cartridges were being made and who was naming them. So take this into consideration. It is, the late 1800s, and you have all of these countries trying to develop new cartridges for smokeless powder. The idea of having a very large, slow-moving bullet from black powder is being replaced by having a very lightweight, smaller diameter projectile traveling much faster thanks to smokeless powder ammunition. And it's not like countries, especially if they're not allies or on particularly good terms, it's not like countries that are developing this new technology are going to get with one another and be like, hey, what size bullets are you using? Oh, I'm using a 308 diameter bullet. Oh, that's great. We are using a different diameter, but we're still going to call it basically the same thing. And as a result, you have a whole lot of different 7.62 diameter projectiles out there that, although they're all called 7.62, are different diameters. And it just leads to a lot of confusion with people who do not have the knowledge that these different bullet sizes are in fact different bullet sizes, even though they are all 7.62 diameter. Now this right here is just, an example. I mean, how many diameters of 6.5 are there out there? Don't look at the Carcano. Don't look at, the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6.5 Swede, or 6.5 Jap, or anything like that. There's different diameter bullets, even though the nomenclature is going to end up being the same. And that's just because whenever these countries are developing this technology, like I said, they're not going to get with other countries and be like, hey, what are you using? Oh, I'm using this right here. Oh, that's great. I'm going to do the same thing. Now, we kind of did that with NATO, with the standardization of a particular kind of ammunition, 7.62 NATO, but that's, a whole other topic. We're going to talk about the early development of these cartridges. In this particular case, we were working on a 308 diameter bullet around the time where Russia was working on a 312 diameter bullets. They were working on making their Mosin-Nagant rifles chambered in 7.62 by 54 rimmed, which is a 312 diameter projectile, whereas we were working on the Krag-Jorgensen, which actually had a 308 diameter bullet. Now this 308 diameter bullet would carry over to the 30-03, then the 30-06, and then 7.62 NATO/308, and it would definitely serve us for an incredibly long time. It's still being used in some instances to this day by the United States, and it's being used regularly by NATO forces as 7.62 NATO. But 7.62 NATO and 7.62 by 54 rimmed, despite the fact that the name of the projectile is, they both imply 7.62 bullets, the actual size of the bullet, the actual diameter of the bullet is going to be different. And whenever you think about it, like during the development process, the 308 or the 7.62 NATO projectile 308 diameter bullet dates all the way back to the diameter bullet of the Krag-Jorgensen, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the 308 development of that. During that time period where we were making our 308 bullet, we didn't exactly hop on, a sail ship, go all the way to Russia and go up to whoever was ruling Russia at that particular time. I don't freaking know. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments below, give me a little history lesson. But it's not like we went to Russia and asked the Russians, hey, what diameter projectile are you using? So we were on opposite sides of the world, and we were making our ammo and they were making their ammo. And we originally called our rifle the 30-40 Krag, 30 caliber projectile with a 40 caliber or 40 grains of powder behind it. And Russia would call their new cartridge the 7.62 by 54 rimmed. Now, whenever we ended up going from having, 30 caliber rounds, like for example, the 30-06, which came, or 30-03, then 30-06, which came after the 30-40 Krag, we were still using, what would I call it? We were still using our version, our measurement systems, and over here in the United States we have you know, caliber, versus over there in Europe, they measure by the millimeter. Well, whenever NATO began to form and we started using 7.62 NATO ammunition, we ended up basically swapping our ammo, our military style ammo calculation, nomenclature calculation, to the millimeter system. That's why we have like 5.56 NATO nowadays in military service, as opposed to the caliber, like a 223 caliber, here in civilian service. They are different rounds, very, 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 very similar, but they are in fact different. But now we have 7.62 NATO, which is a 308 diameter bullet, which traces all the way back to the lineage of us adopting a 308 for our Krag-Jorgensen rifle. And the communist forces have a 312 diameter bullet in their Mosins, and then way later on they ended up adopting the 7.62 by 39, also a 312 diameter projectile. You can shove 308 diameter bullets, but it'd be like throwing a hot dog down a hallway, and you won't engage your rifling very well, and you'll have gas going around the bullet. So despite the fact that they're both 7.62, they're not exactly identical bullet diameters, and it's very confusing unless you know what diameter bullet it is for whatever particular rifle it is that you're using. And this is just one of the examples. Like I said, like for example 6.5, there's a ton of different diameter projectiles out there for 6.5. Or for example, you could have two completely different nomenclatures that use basically identical bullets, like the 303 British round and 7.62 by 54 rimmed. I'm pretty sure they both take a 312 diameter bullet. 303 might take a 311, but I think it's 312 as well. Or you could go with something like the 6.5 or 7.65 Argentine, which takes a 313 diameter bullet, which is slightly larger than all of them. There's just a lot of confusion that comes with the nomenclature of these particular firearms, and well, that's why, because these countries, whenever they were developing this ammunition, they didn't exactly congregate with each other on creating a universal bullet size. So that's just the cards that we've been dealt, and now we have all these old school military surplus rifles, such as this sporterized 1917 chambered in 30-06, which uses a 308 diameter bullet. And I've only got a handful of rounds right here. Speaking of rounds, these rounds are definitely not free. If you want to help support my work and help me create more content, Patreon and Utreon in the description below. Go and go check those out. But this right here is a really good example of a 308 diameter rifle because it's chambered in 30-06. Now around the same time period, the Russians with their Mosin Nagants in 54 rimmed, this is, you know, a 9130, so it wouldn't necessarily be around the time period that this right here would probably be created in. But these right here have a 312 diameter projectile versus these with a 308, because it's just two completely different countries making two completely different rounds, despite the fact that the names of the rounds are, well, later on, the names of the rounds end up sharing 7.62 in the name. Oh my goodness. Come on, baby. I forgot how much this rifle recoils. It's quite a bit. Oh boy. 30-06. 30-06 is a powerhouse of a round, dude. I tell you what, you could kill anything on the planet with a 30-06 with proper shot placement. I still can't believe that people were going out for like a lot of years and they were shooting these massive, massive calibers at each other. Just way, way overkill. But that was our 308, and this is our 312 diameter projectiles. Now, the reason that I was talking to somebody about this was because we were talking about reloading our ammunition. And like I said, you can load the Mosin with 308 diameter projectiles, but it definitely diminishes accuracy and diminishes like the velocity and whatnot, because gas escapes around the projectile as it travels down the barrel. It just doesn't fit properly inside of the barrel. But you can't go with oversized bullets. Like, I would not be able to use a 312 diameter bullet in a 308 diameter bore. That's something that can't happen because you would overpressure your gun. Well, I imagine that there's some people out there who do it, and it just creates a high pressure system inside of their gun. But a lot of your military style bolt action rifles like this, they are incredibly strong, especially if you get yourself like a Mauser or something. But I digress. Different size bullet, both 7.62. Ow! 7.62 by 54 rimmed is a serious cartridge. Oh boy, I hit something over there, it started smoking. Oh, I dramatically like my 1917 more than this Mosin. It's just so much smoother. I mean, the Mosin will work and it'll last, you know, longer than you will on this planet. But man, that infield sure is nice. I wish it wasn't sporterized. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below. If I have any reloading friends watching this, I know for a fact I have at least one who likes to reload. Having multiple projectiles to reload multiple different kinds of ammunition, like, it really is irritating. Like, if all of these different firearms, if 7.7 Jap, 303 British, 7.62 by 54 rim, 30-06, 308, if just like all of these different rifles had a 308 diameter bullet, reloading would be so much easier. I would just buy like a bulk pack of 1,000 bullets and I'd just be able to reload those all day. But that's not the reality that we live in, and every cartridge, depending on where it, you know, was developed in, they're just gonna have different size diameters based on who developed them. Like, for example, over in Russia, 7.62 by 54 rimmed, having the same diameter as the later 7.62 by 39, that makes sense over there in Russia. You know, that's their development, their cartridges, that's going to be their bullet diameters. So logistically speaking, especially for ease of manufacture, having the same diameter projectile, definitely a good way to go. But it just doesn't make sense why Russia would adopt a 308 diameter bullet because the United States over here adopted a 308 diameter bullet. Like, just think about it. And that's one of the main reasons why we have so much variety between these countries. Now, when 7.62 NATO got adopted by NATO and we had so many countries just forming alliances all trying to adopt the same cartridge, then 308 became a standard with a lot of countries. 308 diameter bullet in 7.62 NATO became a standard. But that's like the history behind NATO and whatnot. That's probably going to be a topic for another video. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description down below has a link to all sorts of stuff, including Utreon and Patreon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Help me make content and keep this stream alive. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I am going to actually go grab myself another set of rifles and make another video because I have a to-do list of things I want to get done today, and I only have today to do it. So you guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.